The following, I can't even call it interview, audio recording, comes from a conversation that I had on the night of October 26th, which would have been the early morning on the 27th in Gaza, the same day that internet and comms were cut to the region. And this conversation is with an individual who, due to safety concerns, has had their voice altered and will remain anonymous, and has had any identifiable comments removed from the recording. With this individual, what I can tell you is that they are a medical professional in Gaza. They are Palestinian. And I wanted to ask 3 simple questions. The first, what was life like prior to the 7th? The second, what has it been like since the 7th? And the third, what can we do to support you? I urge you all to take a moment, remove any distractions, and really tune in and listen. I was honored by this individual's time, and I think the least that we can do is make sure that we are listening with open hearts and open minds and sharing this perspective and this information with as many people as are willing to listen. This is the first of many interviews, but I felt it was the most important for us to hear directly from Gaza. So take a moment, again, make sure there are no distractions, and listen with your heart and with your mind. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, so do you mind if we just jump in?
Yeah.
And so, right now in the West, there is this narrative being pushed that the aggression by the GOI, the Israeli government, really only started 19 days ago, as though there haven't been 75 years of occupation and oppression. And so if you could speak to us a little bit about, just what was life like in Gaza before October 7th?
Well, Gaza Strip is a small geographical area. It's part of historical Palestine, part of the occupied Palestinian territories at the moment. Its area is about 140 square miles. I think it's 141 or 142 square miles. It's about 24 miles in length and about 6 to 8 miles in width. The area is populated by about 2.3 to 2.4 million people. It's one of the highest density population in the world. That's about or more than 16,000 people per square mile. Now, the population is a very young one. More than 48% of the population are children below the age of 18, which makes more than 1.1 million children living in Gaza Strip. 2/3 of the people living now in Gaza Strip are refugees. These were people who were uprooted from the historical Palestine, or Palestine 48, Israel now, before the year 48, which makes about 1.4 million, a little bit more than that, are refugees. Now, this is the general demographics of the population in Gaza Strip. 2/3 were refugees, a crowded area, but we need also to add to that some of the other important indicators that people look into when they look at populations that take place in the world. And I would bring 2 or maybe 3 measures that we need, indicators that we need to keep in mind. One is that the literacy rate is about 96% in Gaza Strip, and it's one of the highest literacy rates in the Middle East, perhaps in the world. thousands of university graduates. We have one of the most educated population also in the Middle East. So we speak about young, educated population as a step, and these are very important elements for any population to be developed, a productive, organized population, whatever comes to your mind. But on the other hand, the unemployment rate is extremely high. The unemployment rate of the Palestinians in Gaza Strip is now around 46%. When you look at people below the age of 30, it goes up to more than 60%. And when you look at women below the age of 30, it goes to more than 80%. These very high unemployment rates make more than 130,000 university graduates unemployed in Gaza Strip. Now, this figure could be not big, but now we talk about almost 6% of the population are university graduates who are unemployed. Being unemployed is a big issue when you have almost half the population being unemployed. The immediate impact is on poverty rate. Poverty rate in Gaza Strip is about 53%. Poverty rate, I'm giving figures, but let me try to give some illustrations. 53% poverty rate means that half of the population are under poverty, which means that having in mind that 48% population are children, means that more than 500,000 children live in families that are under poverty rate. Basic needs for children are simply to be able to go to school with, I would say, proper clothing, with proper stationery, with good clothes for the winter, with transportation means, with some pocket money to be able to buy a sandwich or juice or whatever at school. Now, half of the population of children in Gaza Strip don't have any of that. The reason for of course, there is a big question where if you have such an educated population, why you have such unemployment rate, why you have such poverty rate. And for that there are many reasons. If you look at them from the recent years and backward, can look at now already 16 years of blockade. And blockade, a lot of people in the world refer to the blockade since the year 2007. However, the blockade on Gaza Strip, the policies of isolating Gaza Strips started decades earlier than just 2007. And then we could say that the blockade, according to a lot of economists, is some sort of systematic, let me say, de-development of the conditions in Gaza Strip, as the renowned expert in the Middle East issues, Sarah Roy, explains in her writings about the economic conditions in Gaza Strip. So, which means that systematically not allowing people to thrive, blocking means of economic growth, putting barriers on trade in and out of Gaza, putting barriers on raw material getting in Gaza Strip, and making just the industrial projects almost unsurvivable. Again, this is not only 17 years ago. That 2/3 of the population is these are refugees. These are people who are by default, poor by default. A lot of people live now in houses that are covered, with roofs made of asbestos, and continue to live under extreme poverty, very highly populated and crowded camps and different areas of Gaza Strip. So we speak about, and then also we say that the population is not only being under blockade. It's not only being under this sort of deprivation of various capacities to thrive and to grow, but also we speak about ongoing military operations that happen every now and then. The military operations in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, they took the form of different invasions to neighborhoods, to towns, villages. It was very similar to what happens now in those back. However, since 2008, when we had the first large-scale operations, we had almost 6 large-scale offensives. The last one of them is the one that is happening right now. And these bring acute and sharp deterioration in the infrastructure, in the economy, in the industry, the farming land, loss of property, loss of housing, loss of lives, loss of loved ones. And it brings Gaza Strip, if not decades, but then years backward.
Yeah, so thank you for painting that picture for us, because the narrative that we are trying to be, or rather the media is trying to convince the West of, is that there are no policies, there are no, like you said, offensives that are occurring that in conjunction could be to blame for the existing state of living in the Gaza Strip. And so I think it's really important for people to hear that and to understand that. And so, like you said, the most recent offensive attack is happening right now. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is like and what it has been like in Gaza since the 7th?
Well, we speak about a place that is extremely populated. It's very high density of population. 2/3 of the population are refugees. And people were already living under poverty. They are already living under severe humanitarian conditions. By the way, one of the points that I missed talking about a little bit earlier is when we speak about water, when we speak about power supply, when we speak about these very simple things, living conditions of population in Gaza Strip. So power supply prior to over the 7th, we used to have an alternating power supply of 8 hours on and 8 hours off. We don't have decent local power supply plant, if I could say. Power plant that Gaza has supplies, I think, only 20% at maximum the needed power supplied by the Palestinians in Gaza. And that's why we rely on power that comes from Israel. Palestinian people pay for that power. And the usual available power was 8 hours on and 8 hours off. So it's an alternating availability of power. Water supply, more than 97% of the water supply was not potable enough for drinking. The United Nations in 2012 issued a statement saying that they anticipate Gaza Strip to be uninhabitable by the year 2020. Due to obvious reasons that I have already mentioned. In 2018, they said that maybe we were ambitious to say that by 2020 the Gaza Strip is not going to be uninhabitable, meaning that it's already uninhabitable by the year 2018.
Yeah.
And this is because of the problems with power supply and water, all the other problems. And if you look at the family life or the life of a woman, we speak about a woman who would be a mother of like 4 or 5 children. On average, we have 5 children per family in Gaza Strip. So the schools are extremely crowded. We have about a little bit more than 500,000 children who go to schools on a daily basis. Half of them go to normal schools, half go to ministry vehicles. The difficulty in having proper economy, although that you have enough and more than enough graduates of different disciplines that can promote a well-prepared or a well-organized education system is facing a huge economic difficulties. That's why we have average about 40 to 45 children per school class, per class. Average we have about 700 to 800 children per school. So, and then we don't have enough buildings of schools. That's why we end up with having shifts. So some of the schools operate in the morning, some of the schools operate in the afternoon. It's the same building, I could say. However, we have one group of teachers, students who go to the morning shift, and then a totally different group who go to the afternoon shift, which means that a lot of the children will go to school, will leave their houses at 6:30 in the morning, start their school at about 15 to 7:07, continue to be there until 11, and then at 11:30 they will leave the school, allow space for the afternoon shift. And these are another group of children who leave their houses at 11:15, 11:30, go to school, stay there until something like 4:30 and then go back. Now, it's not only like some of the children will go in the early morning or the others will go back in the the late afternoon. But again, the schools are crowded, the classes are crowded, and the reflection on the impact on the family 5 is that maybe half of the children will go to the morning shift, the other half will go to the afternoon shift. And that means that the housewife, both the parents, the father and the mother, will work very early morning. At least by 5:30, because they need to wake up the early morning shift children, get some breakfast, and then to the schools. And then by 10:30, they have to work with the afternoon shift children. They need to do the same thing. Within like an hour later, the morning shift will be back home, and then at the late afternoon, at about 5 p.m., the afternoon shift will be back home. It's a constant drive or a full job work just to prepare the children to go to the schools and then to come back to the schools and then to work with the other shift. Each one will need breakfast, will need lunch, and they will also start support with their education. Like all parents in the world, we try our best to help our children with education. Now, let's assume at the same that, let's keep in mind that half of the children live under poverty rate. And that means, for example, when it comes comes to clothing, that they will have probably only one set of clothes that are school customs, if you would say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's assumed that on a winter day, when it's muddy, the children go back with their house clothes, with their clothes being dirty. Then the mother will be facing one challenge. What can I do with those clothes? The answer is that you try to clean them. And then the question is whether there is electricity for a washing machine to work, whether there is power supply for the dryer to work, and if there is none, what can the woman do? What can the mother do? When I speak about 8 hours on and 8 hours off, there are 3 moments in the daily life of Palestinians when it comes to power supply: 6 a.m., 2 p.m., and 10 p.m. And at these times, the power alternation happens. So if the mother receives her children at 5 p.m. with their clothes dirty, if she lucky that the power supply is on, then she will have like 3 or 4 hours till 10. She will have 5 hours in order to be able to clean the clothes and prepare them to the children. If the water is on, then she has to wait until 10 p.m. when the power supply gets on. That was the best scenario before October 7 for a woman caring for her children. And again, with having 1,100,000 children in Gaza Strip, you almost have children in each family across the Gaza Strip. Now what happened after October the 7th is the beginning of the aerial strikes or bombardment. Now let's keep in mind the small geographical area, let's keep in mind the population, and let's keep in mind the wide area of bombing that happens and that takes place. And usually people feel first that there is no safe place. Almost in all towns, they can hurt very well because of the small geographical area. And then these loud sounds, they bring fear, extreme fear to the children and parents alike. And then let's keep in mind that over the last, if we just count since 2008, if we just look at that, people are now going through the 6th largest scale military operations. Like any child who's like 7 or 8 will remember at least 1, if not 2, if not 3 previous attacks. And with those memories, remember the rebel, people remember the destroyed houses, people remember the large, loud voices of bombardment, people remember the number of the killed people, people remember their losses, and you have a combination of extreme fear for your life, and the memories that come up reminding you of everything that happened prior to that. So people are really terrorized. Parents immediately think, what can we do? Can we find an escape place to our children? Can we find a place to hide? Is there really a shelter? And shelters is another big question, because a lot of the talks, people talk about children have. Well, the shelters that we have are simply honorable schools. But let's think of the following. At the moment, honorable says that they have more than, I think, 600,000 who are seeking refuge in 150 locations. Imagine how many people will be staying at one school. Now, schools are, as you know, good to have some, I could say, of course, closet for the children, but also small amount of toilets. 8, let's say 20 toilets. I don't think that there are 20 toilets in each school. But now you have on average 3,500 to 4,000 people in each. That is expected to be a shelter. Unfortunately, as of today, we hear a lot of health problems within those schools. There's a problem with supplies, there's a problem with water supplies, but there's a problem also with infectious diseases. A lot of schools, they report chickenpox that's spreading among the children. Chickenpox is not a difficult health conditions when you have means to deal with it. It causes fever, causes itching, it causes skin rash, it's very uncomfortable, it's very annoying, it causes a lot of irritation for the children. And the solution is very simple. You need to have just medications to lower the temperature, and you need to have some solution that help you not scratch the areas that have the rash. But almost none of that is present or available at the moment. We are not sure, of course, there are some cases of gastrointestinal problems. People have some diarrhea, some of the children mainly. But it's just the beginning, you know. The other important part, which is the order that was given by the Israelis to evacuate or leave the Gaza and northern areas of Gaza City. That was an evacuation order for 1.1 million people to go to the south, to the southern area of Gaza Valley or Wadi Gaza. And they give people 24 hours to evacuate. Imagine 1.1 million people have to evacuate. And which means the question is where to? And the answer was try to evacuate to the shelters, to the safe areas. The shelters were already, remember the schools, they were already populated. Before to that evacuation order, UNRWA was already saying that more than 350,000 people are already in there. So can we allow more people to get in? Can we, find space for more people to live in? No. And you know what happens at those schools who are assigned as shelters? Women and children sleep in the classes, just on the ground. If they are lucky, they can just get some mattresses, have some blankets if they are lucky. Men and adolescent boys, they just sleep on the school playground. That's it. That's what they can do, because there isn't enough place for those men to sleep in the classes, and usually women from different families share the same class. So it's an issue of privacy. It's an issue of you could imagine, what that entails. People share the same toilets, and this is again a big hygiene issue, a big hygiene problem. Water supply, drinkable water supply is not that much available. Israel announced from day one that they're going to cut the electricity, that they are going to cut the water supply, and that immediately meant that after 4 days at the beginning of the attacks, the power generator in Gaza Strip stopped working. Since that day until now, we don't have any single hour of power supply that comes from the power supplying system, or network, whatever it's called. Most of the people, if they get the power, they get it through the some of the UNRWA schools have solar panels, so that's how they get it. Some of the small neighborhoods in some areas, and this is mainly the central neighborhoods in the heart of the cities, they have some generators that generate power supply. a neighborhood. However, this is again almost stopped because the lack of fuel is generated. Generators need fuel, and the fuel is not allowed to get in since October the 7th. Again, no power supply. Water was a big problem. About 4 or 5 days, or maybe 1 week, Israel decided to allow water to get into the southern areas of Gaza Strip after a lot of calls from the international community. They are allowing water to get in, but you can imagine that already now the population in the southern area of Gaza Strip, with more than, I think, 2/3 of the population, I think half of the people living in Gaza and the north moved to the south. There are still hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza and the north, by the way. And one of the main reasons that they didn't move to the south is that if you follow the reports, even people who were leaving within the 24 hours that were, people were told to move to the south, the road was blocked. Some families were killed on their way to the south. That's on one hand. And on the other hand, the bombardment intensified in the southern area of Gaza Strip, which means that there is no safe place. A lot of the families that were killed really in the southern areas of Gaza Strip in the last couple of weeks belong to people who are originally from the north,
Yeah.
They were just staying with friends or with relatives or with just, how to say, anyone who offered that place for people to stay in. So this is, again, the large pumping continues to take place. As of today, I think more than 17,000 injured people are already registered. The number of the killed people are more than 6,000 people. More than 2,500 children got killed. More than 1,000 women got killed. And the other important thing is that you have more than 1,500 people under development.
Yeah.
Including more than 900 children. And the machinery that is used to dig the rubble to try to help people, I mean, we don't have enough machinery to deal with all those destructions,
Yeah.
More than half of the housing units in Gaza Strip were destroyed or partially destroyed. And there are thousands of houses that are destroyed over when inhabitants were there, and you don't have enough machinery to do the necessary intervention to just help people dig it out, or that's how things are. And then on the other hand, when you look at the health facilities, for example, health facilities were also bombed. I think 11 hospitals are now out of service. More than 50 medics killed. More than 25 ambulances were destroyed when they were on duty. The Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital was attacked, leaving almost 500 people who got killed. A church was attacked with people seeking refuge who were inside. So this all shows that there is no safe place. The hospitals say that now there are stories of a lot of children, who got only wounded. They were lucky survivors. When they had to receive some medical help, when they had to receive some sutures, to just address the wounds, there was things to do that, and the process took place without anesthesia. And this is really anything is hard to take, but when you need help, when you are out of the bubble and reach a health facility, and you still have to go through pain in order to receive the medical aid. This is again things are people look at that, a lot of frustration, a lot of despair, a lot of fear, and there is nothing that we can do, at the same time, there is a lot of hope that some supplies will come abroad, at least fuel for the hospitals, at least medications, at least things disposable to help with the operations that are running to save the lives of the people. But I'm not sure how much they speak about this, that 20 trucks coming into Gaza Strip over the last 5 or 6 days. That includes food and some milk, some medications. This is a real intervention, when we speak about hundreds of thousands of displaced people.
Yeah.
Already 1.5 million people are displaced. 600,000 at vulnerable schools, designated shelters. What 20 trucks of food mean to those people? And speaking of food supplies are almost depleted in Gaza Strip. And this is because over the last almost 20 days, nothing was coming in. And, so that's how things are.
So, right now, what can we do in the West? The things that we are hearing are obviously to put pressure on our government to stop providing support to Israel, and to allow humanitarian aid in through the Egyptian border. But if you could get a message out, right, to the West, what would it be? How can we support you? What can we do?
Look, the international community have learned a lot from previous catastrophes and disasters, man-made wars. And you can imagine whatever comes to your mind over the last 100 years. And the United States was part of a system that was enforced internationally, that brought a lot of laws that should be applied in times like the ones that we have in Gaza at the moment.
Yeah.
I think if I could ask for a very simple thing.
Yes, please.
It's only for those laws to be respected.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking for at the moment,
Yeah.
I am not going to ask to end the occupation. I'm not going to ask to end the blockade. I'm not going to ask for any of this or that. My very simple request is that the United States government, legislators, the international community, everyone who decided decades ago what is the best way to and how is the best way to deal with the communities, populations, with nations, with countries, with governments, with whatever you can imagine. During the times of wars, these laws that were put on and well written, and they even assigned mechanisms in order to ensure that these laws are followed, are enforced, set some accountability measures. They need to be followed. That's what I've been asking for.
Yeah.
Nothing more than that. We are Palestinian. We are equal humans to anyone in the world,
Absolutely.
And we have the rights to live under the international laws that were established for noble reasons, for basic reasons, that that all members of the humanities are equal. And that's what I only ask for at the moment, just to be considered equal human beings, just to ensure that what the international community agreed upon, the regulations and laws to people, nothing more than that.
Yeah, I think that is more than fair. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
Well, I have a lot of faith in American people, and we Palestinians have friends everywhere. And I think humanity has friends everywhere. And I'm sure that a lot of decent people